Hello, friends. Welcome to Anime versus Gamer. Grab a seat, get comfortable, because we're about to serve you or adult unfiltered and maybe a little intoxicated opinion about everything happening in otaku culture. Cheers.
Hello everyone, this is Hikifuji introducing himself. Just a little bit about myself before we get things started. I am an avid gamer, a self-proclaimed otaku, enjoyer of mythology, traveling, and all things philosophy. And I have a bit of a background in game development and design.
So I'm Sakura. I'm a fashion designer who's been obsessed with everything anime for the past 20 years, which means I'll be representing the anime aspect of this podcast. And boy, do I have a lot to say about that. So I guess we move on to talking about what is this podcast about specifically. To put it pretty plain and simply, we're an otaku podcast, but it's mainly for grown-ups. We'll be talking and discussing and giving our brutally honest opinion about different topics that we haven't really found that they have been talked about in the otaku community, and we wanted to do it obviously in a more mature lens because we're adults. So that's pretty much it.
We're pretty much
Um,
the grown-up otakus of the world that we all know exist. So we decided to make this podcast primarily to target that type of mature audience, the people who could be easily called the pioneers, the ones that were bullied in schools and like made fun of when they were liking anime and video games and manga, and mostly called nerds and weebs and geeks. And how
yeah,
far we have come.
definitely, especially the last basically past the decades of we're exactly like you said, we were the pioneers of anime, manga, video games, weeb culture, um, and it was not as cool as it is today or mainstream in the Western hemisphere. So we really didn't found a lot of people around our age bracket talking about things like that, right? And we wanted to create a space for those adult conversations and subjects so we decided to create one. Here we are.
And because of that, I think it's only fitting that our very first episode's primary title is Are We Otakus? Are we weebs? That is the question for today's podcast. Am I an
Great
otaku?
question. Great question.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I've been pondering the same question myself because like we were saying a couple of seconds ago, we are on a different age bracket of what it will be considered, a regular otaku or weeb. I think a lot of people go straight into thinking teenagers, right? And even if they don't think teenagers, they just think like maybe at most young adults, kind of that. We are far from that.
Yeah, there's this very, very clear image, even in the definitions that we looked up as we were researching before we started. There's this very clear image and definitions of like what an otaku is, especially in the Western Hemisphere, and it's very much like somebody who is just obsessed, maybe even addicted and compulsive in terms of like everything that revolves around video games and manga and anime and K-dramas and things like that, as well as pop culture and comic books and cosplay and all that. And honestly, when we look at as ourselves, we both call ourselves otakus, but we don't see ourselves in that with that light. So it got us to think about like, okay, so what exactly do we think an otaku is in this day and age? I don't know what you want to share in that regard.
Well, it's so true. It's just exactly why we asking this question because I think there's a difference between the Japanese otaku and the Western otaku.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah.
the Japanese otaku has been like thriving since the 80s. When they
Yeah.
quoted that,
I mean,
but
they
it's
came from there too, as well.
exactly. I mean, like everything beautiful from otaku land, of course, otaku came
Hmm.
the word itself, but it was more of like a grown ass man,
Mhm.
like a hikikomori, like stuck in their bedroom and just like, not going out, and he's like in his middle age or something. And then on the Western side, it took into this weird morph of like a teenage who has like obsession with comics and mangas and things, all things Japanese, and they you know they're called weebs specifically, and you know they are obsessed with it. Like
Mhm.
they spend all their money on it. They buy figurines. They do things, but they don't know better because they're teenagers or they're young
Exactly.
adults.
Yeah.
It's like a phase. They'll grow out of it. So we
That's the
we
that's the
realize
that's
that.
actually yeah, no, that's actually because I'm gonna say like that's the big excuse that always everyone says is that, oh, you'll just grow out of this, and then like you have people like us and many others who never really grew out of it and still enjoy the medium, but well, let's just say we still have other things that we are and that we enjoy and that we cherish, maybe even more so than our anime and our manga and our K dramas and our pop culture and all that stuff, because that stuff is
Yeah.
important. But like life happens and you just have to keep up with it. It's not something that's you can still love it. It's just it's not gonna be the same degree. I think otakus come in all shapes, sizes, and intensities, and that's something that is very clearly you can see it very clearly now, where it's like the teenage otaku, if you will, is definitely more hands-on and can probably spend around 18 hours a day or something ridiculous.
Oh
Just
God.
yeah, just playing and watching, playing video games and watching anime. Where it's like we don't have that luxury anymore, unfortunately. It's
Yeah. We have a life.
yeah, yeah,
With responsibilities.
and
I
it's
think we call it adulting.
yeah, it's
Something
like
like
we have to adult. It's like
that. Yeah. No, but
life
it's
life is
you're
hard for
absolutely
otakus.
right.
Yeah, it's
It's
especially in
so
the
true.
grown up world, especially in the grown up world.
Oh
And not
yeah.
to say that those people have their place. Obviously, we were there once, so we can't say, oh, that's because
Mhm.
we encourage that, but we're just it's more of a term of like how we define and what we think an otaku within our age range is like. What is it like? I feel like also because of the way that the culture has shifted so much recently, like where mainstream culture used to basically shun anything related to sort of like anime and manga
Right.
and video games. Now it's like everyone does it, so it's cool. And
Yes,
that's
exactly.
definitely not where we were, if you can remember
It's
that.
not our experience for
Yeah.
sure. It's the otakus that the Western side of the world knows. Their experience is completely different from it was 2 decades ago when we were growing up. So it has the word has completely changed. I think the meaning has completely changed. Maybe this is a question of identity more than anything. Yes, yes, we are otaku, but I think this goes way deeper, and it definitely has to be with like a self identity. I kind of want to know your opinion
Yeah,
about
no,
this.
actually, now that you mentioned that, something just did actually pop into my head in regards to that, and that is like, as we grow up, our tastes change, and that actually might have something to do with that. Like, when I'm thinking about it now, it's like, we, as the older otakus, for lack of a better word, damn, I feel old. The older ones, the more mature ones,
Do
the
not
adult
say our
ones,
age. We
the
are
adult
just
ones,
adults. We're just
the
adults.
adult ones, right? Let's just give it the adult ones. We keep trying to find that show that's not necessarily like, oh, the most current airing anime, or
Yeah,
like, or the
yeah,
latest season of anime that's airing, or the latest
yeah.
isekai, or the latest
We have
harem,
a
or
code
whatever.
word. We have a code word for it. It's called the hidden gem, literally.
Yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's also completely normal. I think as we grow up, we transition into honestly life happens. We transition into different aspects of ourselves. We get a lot of responsibility and weight on our shoulders, and we don't just again like you to think about what you said in the beginning. We just don't have the time either
Hmm.
to like binge watch a lot of like animes that are coming in all the time or read all of the mangas and just like
Hmm.
play every video game.
Yeah,
We
it's
don't
just
have
not.
the
It's just
stamina.
not
We don't have
possible.
the time. So we refine our taste,
Hmm.
and we apply it
Pick and
to
choose.
basic pick and choose what's worth our worth our time. It's a good quality anime.
Mhm.
If it has a good story time. Is it a particular taste of mine? Does it, in terms of like, it's a comedy. Is it this? Is it for, a creator that I follow or I like?
Mhm.
So all of those things play into the fact of this new otaku, this like, older version of the otaku, the adult version, that is just completely different. It's a completely different. You go into the websites and you look into that when you have your spare time,
Mhm.
and you're just like,
And then you're secretly hoping
you
for
just
your
want to look.
children to eventually become otakus themselves.
And you're like, I hope he has a face.
Oh
I, I,
yes.
I, I start with Studio Ghibli. I go small, and then I'm like, here, you will like this. um,
This is the
but
good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But
um,
actually, I'm also kind of really grateful in a sense to mainstream media kind of showing like the limelight it to, basically making otaku culture more acceptable and just more mainstream in general. Because
okay.
in a similar sense, that also allows what I would call sort of indie otaku, like indie animes or like lesser like known studios and like maybe even independent animators and artists to kind of like show off what they can do without being strangled by like the bigger studios and things like that. And
Mhm.
that's when you get things like manhwas that they become like rather popular and like are starting to like boom as a medium as well.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, there's beauty, and I'm grateful also for the fact that we do have this new door open, right?
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
creatives, and the opportunity for them to be inspired to go ahead and do their passion projects and express themselves. And honestly, the beginnings of when when we started watching anime, it was very limited, So
Yeah.
you couldn't get mangas anywhere. You couldn't like get like indie video games or indie stuff. Like it was very very rare. But like everything, there's like two sides of the story,
Uh-huh.
So the unfortunate
I,
part
I
about it is, which one I'm talking about. It's like
yeah.
the more you make, the less quality
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get.
it's the classic quantity versus quality. There's just so much of it now that it's genuinely difficult to find something that isn't just a generic isekai or just a generic slice of life or just a generic
Yeah.
harem or just not that
Which,
good, just average.
yeah. What's the classics, you guys? What's the no, I get it. I totally, we sound like grandpas and grandmas here.
Oh yeah, well,
No, I can't help it, you guys. No, but I totally get it. To your point, I agree. I think it is an issue. We cannot deny that that is an issue. But I'm so grateful. Back in the day, like I love the fact that nobody knew about it, and I was one of the first people that discovered it. One of the few lucky ones. I feel like there's something magical in that aspect, and we should all be given prizes for it on the otaku community. If anybody who's listening, like back in the day, Toonami, you guys,
Hell yeah.
Adult Swim,
Hell yeah.
yeah, we learn like how to navigate the deep dive web on the dark side, so we can like literally download anime with like really shitty subs. But you know
Just
what?
gonna say
Like
a lot of pop-ups just before you can watch the anime. Just saying. I'm not saying anything
yeah,
else.
I'm so grateful because you're absolutely right. There's like so much to choose from, and I think that definitely has downgraded the quality. The fact that we were introducing to that before we were overwhelmed with so much choices. Like I'm super grateful. So I do agree, and I'm gonna stand by the fact that we should be given an award for
All
it.
right. Hold your horses there.
I'm just saying.
It's really nice to be able to share this kind of medium and this kind of passion, especially now with social media. That's easier than ever. You can just go go to Facebook and there's like a million different groups for it. Whereas like when we were growing up, it's like you that was like No, that's a no. You can't say
Oh
anything.
my
No,
god.
no, no. You
Mm.
gotta hide it. You guys.
I no, I remember clearly as it was yesterday my first moment when I got fun of for having. So I did this thing. I printed different images of like my favorite anime and still stand as my favorite anime, Cardcaptor Sakura. I mean Sakura, obviously Sakura. If I basically just like I printed a bunch of images of Cardcaptor Sakura, and I cut them and I glued them to my folder, my project folder for work. I did that, and I everybody looked at me weird at class. They were like, "What is that funny cartoon that you're carrying? Like it's your like my precious. Like what's that? Japanese? What's Japanese?" It's like it was hilarious, and I love that some like kids these days especially get to have the moment, but in a very more um less confrontational and probably more acceptance kind of way.
In the grand scheme of things, like I would argue that like it's a similar scaling to gaming. Like we're gaming and movies. Same thing. It's like when all these things started very small. And then people were like, "That's weird," and it just grew slowly over time, and now everybody has a phone, which means basically everyone's a gamer. And now it's basically kind of going into that with anime and manga and the otaku culture in general is sort of like slowly but surely climbing up that ladder of like what's effectively acceptable in like the mainstream and like normalcy.
I like that we get to this point right now because it ties up what we were talking in the beginning about identity because now there's acceptance and there's
Hmm.
acceptance to identity and the fact that you can share the same passions with other people and join a community, right? Like we were talking about how there's like you can grow up to be an otaku and pretty much die an otaku, right? Like
Yeah.
you can just like go through
It's not
different stages.
something it's not something that I feel like anyone who's into it, like genuinely into it, not just a passing interest, but like really enjoys it and appreciates the medium, doesn't really ever grow out of it. I mean, we've seen enough examples of that with like how easy it's become to create these works of art. The people who grew up with them are the ones that are making them now. That's true for like both things
Exactly.
like anime and manga and video games. At least on my end, on the gaming side of things, I know that it used to be so difficult to like get something like a game engine, like a Unity or Unreal or RPG Maker or Game Maker. That the accessibility is there, and we see that with the with anime and manga, where it's like the tools are finally starting to reach a bigger audience, and the people who struggle to get to those tools are now the ones that have them and are making them accessible for everyone. And I just
Yeah, and
absolutely love that.
yeah, no, I like one of the biggest example I can think of the top of my head on the anime side is actually the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh heck
He
yeah.
loves, yeah, he
And One
like
Punch Man
grew,
too, right? Because that
yeah,
started as a
he
webcomic, right?
no, they actually grew up with like literally watching the same thing we were watching. They're into Bleach. They had a they love Yu Yu Hakusho. They love all of those like fighting animes and shonen, and they took the best part of those things that they knew worked and they made their own version of it and they improve upon it and they made it even better, and now that's taken over and it's introduced into this new generation. The beautiful, stylized designs and illustrations, when you have this passion for something that you were inspired by when you were a lot younger,
Yep,
and then you become the creator, but you
exactly.
bring something new to the table and you're serving the new generation. So it's like this amazing full circle,
Yep.
which is why I don't identify as an otaku because, again, that's stupid, like, really. Like, I don't have
You're
figurines. Like,
thinking,
I don't.
yeah, but you're thinking
Um,
about the definition of it in a very like,
old
yeah,
way,
the
in
old way.
the
Like if you
the
think
old
about it,
way.
in, I guess the question is, what would your own definition of otaku be, and do you consider yourself one yourself?
One, exactly. If you look at my cases specifically, like you know me, forever.
Yeah.
I do not have figurines, like
Yes.
literally.
That is true.
I bought on a whim of Inuyasha and Kagome Pop. They were just really cheap, and I was like, oh my god, cute, I want it. And I don't, but I'm not a collector. I do not. I don't have posters in my wall. I don't have a single T-shirt, like a single T-shirt. I I don't have like plushies. I don't have the DVDs. I don't even have mangas actually. I'm a terrible otaku.
Well, you're not making a good case for yourself,
I'm
but
not making a good case for
please
myself.
carry on. Carry on with
Why?
your argument.
Okay,
Go
let's
ahead.
go back to my introduction when I said that I watched anime for 20 years just to
Okay,
repeat
okay.
myself, you guys.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
but I consume the media. I've been consuming the media for 20 plus years. My otaku identity is very multifaceted. I have other things around it, and I don't particularly. My life does not move around just being an otaku. When you go through life experience and other things, right?
Mhm.
You experience other communities, other social events, other people, and you go and you travel and you see things. Like you start taking other things from those experiences, and you start creating your own personal identity, which is again what we were talking about. Like otaku, it's just like one slice of that pie in my world. Now,
Mhm.
is it a big pie side of the pie? Yes, but I'm not someone that surrounds myself with merchandise of the anime industry or manga industry or
How
video game
dare you?
industry tourists. I
How
know, I'm
dare you?
sorry.
You've insulted
How dare
everyone.
I am not. I am not, which is why I'm a strange case. I really am. So what I'm trying to say is, on the old definition, or even in the current definition of what would people would think of an otaku, I'm not that person. I'm not your typical otaku, but I do consider myself very much part of that world because I consume that media. I literally dedicate, like, I have time on my schedule. Again, we are adults, so we
I
have
mean,
to make schedules.
she trusts me, and she takes my suggestions with like a 10-foot pole and like chopsticks. You know.
They're on my calendar.
Okay,
They're on my
fine.
calendar.
All right.
They're on my
So,
calendar.
okay.
I block time. What I'm trying to say is I
All right.
block time
I'll believe
to
they're in
watch
your
it.
I'll believe they're in your calendar if you admit to one thing though. Admit that I
What?
convinced you to watch Demon Slayer. I will never let that
No,
go.
you never did.
I did.
No, you
I
never
did.
did.
I totally
I
did.
I did
Let it be
not
known that
convince me to
I
watch
was the
Demon
one that
Slayer.
convinced you to watch Demon
Hell
Slayer.
no. That did never happen. I will go to my deathbed saying that that never
Okay,
happened.
okay. Well, I'll let you slide for now.
I was like literally just like trolling on YouTube, and I was
Okay.
like looking for like anime fight scenes, and then I saw
Uh-huh.
the most famous one, and I was like,
Okay.
shit, what is this? And then
Okay.
I watched it.
Okay.
And then you talkers like, I tell
Okay.
you to watch this. Like, no, you
Okay.
didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I
okay,
did.
fine, moving on.
All right. You still need to answer the question then. Yes or no? Are you an otaku?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I have to admit to it, but caveat here, because I'm your modern definition of an otaku.
Okay. Then I want you. Okay.
Yeah,
Then I want you to come up with a term for it. And then while you're
yeah.
thinking on that, I'm gonna give my definition of otaku and my side
Okay,
of the story.
go for
And
it.
do
Go
I
for
think
it.
I'm an otaku? I'm just gonna say straight up yes. But I also feel that it's not in the same length as someone that, is like a teenager, a 14, 15-year-old who just consumes the media 24/7. That's just not realistic in any sense of the word for me. It's just not possible. And there's a sense of like enjoying it, maybe not necessarily more, but appreciating the medium more because I don't have as much time to consume it. And again, that could just be like my taste.
No,
So
no.
yeah, I
I
mean,
think actually on the flip side, I agree with you 100% on everything you said. I think it's just part of growing up, to be completely honest. I think it's just all of it together.
all right. So did you come up with something? You didn't.
Yeah, I have something in my brain, but it's so cheesy, you're gonna hate it.
I mean, if I'm gonna hate it, I'm gonna hate it. So just go for it.
I don't think a lot of people are gonna get it though because it's like so old school, like
Are you
no.
gonna quote an old school anime? Are we gonna see a Cowboy Bebop quotes
I
here?
was I was gonna sing something.
You were gonna sing? Are you kidding me?
um,
No,
it's
go
like
for it.
a
No, go.
very
No, this is good. This
okay.
is good. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry.
I have one on my head, but I don't think I'll be able to measure up to singing.
This is my redemption of the westernized version of Cardcaptor Sakura
Get the
back
hell off.
in the WB.
Oh god. Should I do
This
the
is
One
like
Piece
the
one? The
yes,
4Kids TV One Piece rap? Oh god.
yes. Oh
No.
my god.
Hell no.
By the way, it was just called Cardcaptors. It was not called Cardcaptor Sakura. It
Yeah.
was called
Yeah, I do
Cardcaptors.
remember that. Yeah. The English version. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be super short. I'm gonna like, yes, just go for it.
Oh god.
Card.
I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Go.
Stop
Go. Go.
laughing.
I can't.
Stop
Okay. Go.
laughing.
Okay. Go.
Okay. Card captors, a thrilling adventure. Card captors, expect the unexpected. Card captors. That's it. I'm sorry. I can't do no more. I can't do no more.
Okay. We'll give you
I will,
brownie
like,
points. We'll give you
seriously.
brownie points.
And the part that it's modern and that I am like a new person is the fact that I admit that I shouldn't be singing that. And that I'm way too old for it, and that
That's the beauty of nostalgia, though, right? I mean,
and an old ass adult, I only remember the most annoying part of the song. I don't remember
the
rest
real
of it.
the real
My memory
question
is
what
like,
the real question is if you prefer that one over the Japanese Card Captor
no,
Sakura.
I actually prefer the Japanese one. It's so beautiful. Japanese
She's
one is
still one of
better.
us, everybody. She's still safe. Don't worry.
I was
I
like,
mean,
oh my god.
I mean, you gotta give a couple of exceptions there because Cowboy Bebop. I mean, come on, you gotta watch that in dub.
I mean,
You
the
gotta
dub for it,
watch that in dub.
it's a chef's kiss for that dub. It's like one of the few dubs that I prefer the dub version of
It
the
is.
Japanese.
It
And
is
the
so good.
And it is kind of better. It's sad because the Japanese is obviously the essence. It comes with, and the Japanese voices are stellar. Don't get me wrong; they're
But that
great.
just shows how good the dub is if it's better than the
But
Japanese,
the
which is already
dub
amazing.
is so good. It actually passes DBC and even Pokemon in my personal opinion. And
That's a low
Pokemon
bar.
has a, but maybe my rosy color nostalgia eyes might be blinded by them too. Honestly, I have to admit to it. I'm a bit biased, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
still
it holds up. It
amazing.
holds up very, very well. You would think
Yeah.
not after so
Yeah.
long, but no, it's
No,
really good. It still holds up.
it's kind of amazing. Okay, I'll. You know what? I'm gonna prove it on Otaku. I might actually buy the DVD for that.
DVD
With
for
the
Cowboy?
dub. Yeah, that's actually. I think that might be a really cool gift for myself because
It would be nice.
nobody's giving me the Otaku award that I deserve. So
Okay.
I'm gonna buy,
Okay.
I'm buying
Maybe
Cowboy
maybe
Bebop
if you
DVD.
maybe they'll give it to you when you admit that I convinced you to watch Demon Slayer. Maybe that's what they're waiting
That's
for.
never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. I'd rather learn the entire card capture.
You know, the only part of that song that I remember is the section that goes like car captors a mystic adventure blah 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 blah.
Oh my god, that's the
Right?
part that I was missing. You remember the damn song.
I had it
Oh
on my
my
head when you were
god.
singing it. I just didn't want to say anything because you were.
You were letting me suffer. You are
Yes.
a terrible human being.
Yes.
Holy crap.
within our whole debacle and discussion, I actually thought like a cool term for our sort of like adult otaku, alumni of otakus, like the otaku
Ooh.
alumni. Yeah.
We can brand it as our new identity.
Sure.
We had a crisis of identity by asking the question if we are our otakus or not. So now we're
And
like
that's our
rebranding.
answer. We're otaku
And
alumni.
that's our answer. But I'll take that for now. If you have any ideas, you guys, for seriously, like, let us know. Please don't say, like, cheesy grandma stuff or, like, boomer otaku. Like, screw you.
See,
like,
now you're
don't.
just giving them ideas that are they're just gonna come back.
I tend to do that. I should learn to shut my mouth.
Yeah, you
But,
should just let them make their like let their imaginations run wild when they just steal
I
it.
feel like also that's a little bit scary, to be honest. But don't let
No,
things
let them run
go
wild.
too wild. Not
Let
too
them
wild.
eat
Just reel them
cake.
in. God no. But yeah, but if you have any kind of like, just just let us know if you have any kind of like suggestions. We'd love to hear it. I really hope you stick around for the next one. I hope we didn't annoy you too much. We
Oh,
pretty much
I'm sure
probably
there's so
did, but
I'm sure we gave some people some headaches for sure, and I'm proud of it.
definitely.
That was my whole purpose. That was my
you,
aim.
you monster!
Yeah.
God.
Before we finish off, I just want to say thank you for sticking with us if you were all the way to the end. It was a fun time. You know, we really enjoy having these discussions, and that's why kind of we decided to go ahead and make this little podcast. So with that, thanks for joining us. I hope we didn't annoy you too much, even though that was my secret plan. But do have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully you'll see us soon. Anything else?
Thanks for again, same thing. Thanks for joining us. Please support us, Anime versus Gamers, and we'll see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.